Every day, we communicate through stories. Stories of ourselves, our challenges, our goals, our experiences, and our aspirations. Storytelling is an art that we have mastered. WESN Film Studios comprises a collaborative team of experts with extensive industry experience locally, regionally, and internationally. The ability of your business to successfully communicate with your preferred audience depends on the strength of the stories you tell. Your vision should be communicated in a high-quality, professional, and creative way. From concept to post-production, advertising to film, multi-camera productions, live events, streaming, and virtual conferencing, we are WESN Film Studio. Let your own unique voice be heard and your vision realized. Call us today at 628-5835 for your next production.
WESN.
My name is Dr. Stephen Carroll, the CEO at Community Hospital of Seventh-day Adventist, and we are committed to making good private health care affordable.
For all your medical needs, including dental, radiology, laparoscopy, behavioral and mental health, along with many other services, contact us for more information at 235-5479. Community Hospital of Seventh-day Adventist, where good private health care is affordable. Do you need treatment for obesity or any related abdominal procedures? The Community Hospital now offers minimally invasive laparoscopic surgery done by an American-trained, board-certified surgeon with over 20 years' experience. Give us a call at 235-5479 for more information. The Community Hospital of Seventh-day Adventist, where good private health care is affordable.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today. SM Group International Limited, your solutions partner for the latest innovations, brands, and competent staff to meet your needs. We provide products and services in the following divisions: executive services, event rental and services, power and heavy equipment, construction and property management, food and beverage, aggregate and sales and distribution. Check out more on our products and services at www.smgrouptt.com. Contact us at 221-7445 or email at info@smgrouptt.com. We are SM Group International, your solutions partner.
WESN.
Good morning and welcome to AM Prime on WESN. I'm Naomi McNish.
And I am Jada McLeod.
Thank you for joining us this morning. So this morning, we're diving straight into it. The National Transformation Alliance leader, Gary Griffith, has made it clear he's sounding the death knell for gutter politics in Trinidad and Tobago. At a recent rally, he emphasized the need for real solutions over political mudsliding, as his coalition, the People's Alliance, aims to disrupt the traditional two-party dominance. But can this coalition truly reshape the political landscape? And what does Mr. Griffith envision for the future of governance in Trinidad and Tobago? So joining us this morning is the NTA leader, Mr. Gary Griffith. Good morning, Mr. Griffith.
Hi, good morning to you and to your many viewers.
Thank you. So, Mr. Griffith, you declared an end to gutter politics. And what does that mean in practice? And how will your party ensure a different approach?
Well, sure. No, we have seen for the last few decades, Trinidad and Tobago has been one where people try to vote out a party rather than voting for a party. So you try to vote out the party based on trying to use a smear campaign or based on their incompetence. In this situation, I think it has been seen as arguably the worst government ever. So with all of the different things that they have done, instead what we have seen is other political parties spend more time in the mudslinging, in the gutter politics, and I think that is rather inappropriate. Thankfully, that bridge constituency, those persons, whether they call us the bridge constituency, the third constituency, the knife and fork eaters, whatever you want to call us anything, those individuals select political parties based on policies, based on programs, based on what you can deliver, based on how can you serve if you're not arrogant, if you're not going to be vindictive, racist, abusive. And thankfully, that 150,000 order continues to increase. It started in 1981 with the ONR at 91,000. It moved to 1991 to 127,000 with the NAR, of which Kamala Prasad was a part of. So when she speaks in a hypocritical manner about pop-up party, she was in a pop-up party, and I think she lost a deposit then as well. And then 2007 with the COP, the Congress of the People, with 148,000 votes. Fast track, 18 years later, we have people between age of 18 to 35 years old. And these individuals are not in a house where mommy and daddy, this is a PNM or a UNC house, and they have to vote for us. Granted, there are 200,000 persons like that on both sides, that your PNM or UNC till you die, the political leader could walk around naked on downtown and you're still going to vote for them. That is their right. That is the way you have been brought up in politics, and nobody's there to criticize you with that. What we are looking at is to find an avenue to explain that the gutter politics, which we have seen, and it is so inappropriate. This is why the quality of the politicians you are seeing in this country has started to diminish, because the persons with the ilk and the capability based on good qualification, good experience, good training in specific fields, whether it be education, health, the economy, national security, they're not getting into politics because of the gutter politics. We have reached a point where a political party has actually hired or contracted individuals who said the nastiest things about them and others.
Yes.
You hire an individual who would have referred to persons, women, in the nastiest way, referred to them as with the B word. You have that same individual when a PNM member of parliament died in a fire. This individual said all of the people in the PNM should also burn. You have an individual that referred to you as a canal conker and a latrine rat. And every single release that Philip Alexander puts out is to attack, to demonize, to discredit, to undermine. I will ask, and the way that we want to deal with it is to tell those floating voters, anytime you see individuals like that in a party, do not vote for them. Because that is not what we want. When you operate like that outside of parliament, do you imagine how this man and that party will operate when they get in parliament? They'll have parliamentary privilege. So if it is that they feel that you're bad, drive them or something, they will go in parliament and say the nastiest things about you. We cannot and must not allow people like that to be in government.
So, Mr. Griffith, reflecting on past coalitions, because right now we are dominated by these two-party system, how will the NTA ensure equal representation and prevent that dominance from taking over your party?
Well, unfortunately, because we are not first past the post, because it's not proportional representation and it is first past the post, we have been boxed into this. And that is why you will see a government that is deemed as probably the worst government ever. What they are trying to do is to clean house by removing the persons who, who those floating voters may not have been pleased with, be it Keith Rowley, Fitzgerald Hines, Reginald Amor, Win Colin Imbert. So they're doing a kind of a cleaning house. But that 200,000 would remain regardless of what. And the same thing with the UNC. Whereas the PNM is cleaning house, the UNC have brought in Philip Alexander and Wade Sturge. So they're dirtying their house even more. So that they know that they have their base, and sometimes they use that base based on a racial composition of, if you vote for them, they don't like black people. If you vote for them, they don't like Indian people. So you got 200,000 on both sides that are blinded by this politics based on hatred, but also fear that if you vote for the other side, they will do it to us. And so we must do it to them before they do it to us. That, what I am pushing is that agenda of that bridge constituency of those persons with intellectual ability to look at the different parties and see, can this person help me? Can this person provide what is required for me? The National Transformation Alliance by itself, the biggest concern the country has is national security, it is crime. There is not, the PNM and the UNC combined do not have 1 or 10% of the capability of the quality of persons we have in the NTA to deal with national security. It's not just a Gary Griffith thing. We have people such as Paul Nahus, who's arguably one of the most qualified firearm experts in the Caribbean. We have Major Dirk Barnes, who was one of the major, well-respected senior military officers previously from the Defense Force. His concept and understanding of technology and so forth is second to none. We have people such as Captain Mark Jardine, who was instrumental and is probably the most versed dealing with the Air Guard, the Trinidad and Tobago Air Guard. And we have Commander Norman Dindial, who was arguably one of the most qualified persons that ever came from the Coast Guard. So when we package this team, we are going to transform national security. And it is not just about national security. We have the same type of the best quality of persons to deal with every aspect of the public service: health, education, the economy, national security, sport, culture, tourism, you name it. And the reason we have done that is not just looking for people with an NTA party card, but persons with the intellectual ability, qualification, and experience to be able to transform Trinidad and Tobago. That is what we intend to bring forward to the country. We have the capability. I mean, I could just throw it. Look at what the PNM has to offer. Not one of them have any qualification or knowledge in national security. The nonsense said by a prime minister 15 odd years or 20 odd years ago that all you need for national security is common sense and a level head. He put a nightclub owner to be Minister of National Security, and we saw what happened. The highest spike in crime started taking place then until he was changed and replaced with Martin Joseph. The UNC, if you want the UNC to deal with reducing crime, this is what you're going to get. Kamala Prasad-Bissessa as National Security Chairman, if you ever find her. You'll get probably Wayne Sturge as the Attorney General, Philip Alexander as your Minister of National Security. Rishmi Ramnarayan might come back to be in charge of the SSA, and possibly Johnny Abraham as Commissioner of Police. That is a circus. So if you really care about your country, if you care about securing yourself, your family, your loved ones, your assets, then select the party that has the better plans, policies, people, and the political will. That is where we are driving. Getting those persons who are balanced, who have that intellectual ability to look at all the different options and select the best person, not based on race, not based on geographical location, not based on who can hate who more, but based on who has the quality and the talent to transform Trinidad and Tobago.
So, Mr. Griffith, I want to just get back to the coalition, right? So those that do not know, who are the members of this coalition? So we have the NTA, the HOPE, and CRN, which is Community Reformation Network. Yes?
Yes.
Yes. Can you let's talk about what are some of the key unifying factors among these three groups?
Well, definitely the main thing is having the principles and ideologies to transform Trinidad and Tobago. But we have made a pact and an agreement that we are not getting into the guts of politics. Now, granted, politics is one way it is. You also have to find something you have to try something you could find on somebody and try to bring down your political opponent. We understand that. So I'm not trying to feel that all is right with the world and we must just not see anything. But to go to what we've seen 20 years ago, trying to dig up something with Patrick Manning to say that he had a child called Destiny, and that's what the mark you busted that platform in 2002. Nothing has changed. You go now speaking about who was with a special branch officer. You go in parliament to state that a man's father raped his mother to make him. And then people are saying, and they commended Vanilla Toppin for that. And now we have the UNC contracting someone to attack every political opponent. To the fact of even myself, my wife is now undergoing stage 4 brain cancer with a tumor big as a golf ball, going through surgery and so forth. And Philip Alexander spends time attacking my wife, referring to her as my sick wife, attacking people's children. How could anyone vote for the UNC like that? You have to be mad, because today it's me, tomorrow it will be you. Kamala Prasad-Bissessa likes people like that around her. So what we are saying is that What our alliance is one that we are not going to have the Philip Alexanders and those people who could say the nastiest, most disgusting. Philip Alexander has never said one thing in any release or positive about anyone. So when it is that I would have made to come in and thank Keith Rowley for his service, that is shocking to the UNC, because the UNC's belief is everything the PNM do, we must demonize them, and vice versa. Our agenda is one where we intend to not look to find the bad in everyone, but to show the good in us of what we can do. And that is where we have worked along that line. That is why it is difficult for us to work with people such as Kamala Prasad-Visessa, where you have people you have contracted referring to people as canal conks and latrine rats and all of that. They're the most disgusting things about people, their family. And I ask anyone who has any brain cell, why would you vote for a UNC alliance with people like Philip Alexander? We need to teach people like this a lesson and realize the days of that type of gutter politics, to demonize, destroy, and to discredit people, you will pay the political price for it.
Yes, I was going to say regards to your wife. I just wanted to put that in. I wanted to ask, how do you intend to reach these more independent voters who are kind of, they don't know where to go right yet?
Well, what we've seen at this time, it can be a very low voter turnout, usually it's 65 odd, now it can go down to the 50s, because people are fed up between the muck and the crook. They've seen one political party that they believe is totally incompetent and they want them out. But when they look at that motley crew on the other side, where all they do is every Monday night is to attack, destroy, discredit, and then when they come up with ideas, there's no platform for it, there's no research. Kamala Prasad-Visessa came up with 50 plans to transform health, because you go on Google, 50 ways to improve health in our country. Each one is going to cost about $100 million. So she's going to come up with $5 billion with ideas, no cost benefit analysis, not ascertaining, can this benefit us? Do we have the manpower strength? Is there a demand for it? Is there proper preventative, is there proper aspect to maintain the equipment? None. You bring up a burns unit in Point Lisas where no one has ever been burned in 50 years there, but you want to spend hundreds of millions of dollars because it sounds good. And that is where manifestos, this excuse where these major political parties come up to say, we're going to fix roads, we're going to fix bridges, we're going to build hospitals, we're going to build schools. Being there, done that. That is not what the country wants. The country wants development. The country doesn't want you building skyscrapers and then you can't maintain it and then it's breaking down. Whether it is the vessels from Trinidad and Tobago, whether it is our police service, you can't maintain anything, but you want to buy, to cut a ribbon, to boast about it. And then the more buildings you buy or construct, the more you're able to get the markup for your friends and your contractors and your financiers. That is where the NTA intends to go. That's where Hope, CRN, and others with similar views think we are going to find a way to be able to tighten our belt budget without trying to lift and increase taxes, waste all the waste of expenditure. We waste about $5 to $7 billion annually based on corruption, mismanagement, and incompetence. If we remove that, there's no need for property tax. There's no need to increase taxes. When I had the police service, it was the biggest budget over any other minister. When I was Minister of National Security, it was the largest budget over any other minister. And with the police service, sorry, bar the Minister of Health and Education. So the point is, I am fully aware of how to handle a budget. The only person who may have the capability of controlling a budget higher than myself would have been Keith Rowley as the Prime Minister. Nobody in the PNM and the UNC can boast that they know how to handle a budget, because what I had was a $4 billion to $7 billion budget as a Minister of National Security and Commissioner of Police. And I was able not to spend 1 cent extra, utilize every single thing to transform what was seen as the most corrupt and inefficient of all arms of the public service, which was the police service. If we could have transformed the police service because of the team that I built around me, what we intend to show between the NTA, Hope, CRN, and others is we can, the same way we were able to transform the police service, we can transform every arm of the public service.
Pastor Clive Doughton would have kind of warned about the illicit money in politics, right? How can you talk a little bit about that and how y'all intend to have clean campaign financing?
Well, again, because we don't have campaign financing, what happens constantly is political parties get lots of cash, big cash from financiers. And then when they get that now, you can't account for it. And the reason why the financiers do that is not based on corruption. So don't get me wrong. It's based on the concern that if you vote for party A and you finance them by cutting a check and send it into their account, and party B wins, they're going to remember you and they're going to bust your throat and destroy your business. That is how it works. That's why sometimes the campaign financiers, you put in A and B, so whoever wins, why bother to go Vegas? You don't need to go Vegas. You put $10 million on A and you put $10 million on B, whoever wins, you're going to get 5 times that return in a contract in the first month. That is how it works. Thankfully, with a third party, these major financiers don't come into a third party because they don't see the dividends. So we are not going to be held to ransom by any contractor, financier, or anything like that. It gives us the opportunity to be free to be able to say what we want and not to be held to ransom by anyone when you get into government because there's going to be a price to pay. That is what happened with live sport. Promises were made to criminal elements and they had to pay the price, which is again one of the major reasons why I have problems working with the UNC, because some of the individuals, there was one who provided tens of millions of contracts to criminal elements and gang leaders, and she is still there in the UNC. There's another that when I was minister and commissioner, I will be arresting people, and the next day this man will be doing everything in his power to get them released to get back out on the streets. Kamala wants this man to be the National Security Council. You have another one who is romantically involved with every single gang leader practically. That could be in the National Security Council. There's going to be a conflict of interest. So whereas my job is to incarcerate and to put criminals where they belong, their job on the other side is to romantically be involved in them, give them state contracts, and get them released as quickly as possible. I ask the country, you decide what you want. You keep saying that you want to reduce crime and you want to make the country safe. You are going to decide if it is you want to vote yellow, blue, or red.
So it may be a bit unrealistic. I don't think that's your goal right now to go into power over the next 5 years. But what would be your main goal over the next 5 years?
Well, the thing about it is, if it is that the NTA can do what was done before, the Kamala Prasad Visas is using the fear factor in people that referring to them as proper parties and they're unable to win. That is proven to be false because Jack Warner defeated Kamala Prasad Visas in her safest seat, which was Shagwana West, I think, with Jack Warner with the ILP. So if the third party could defeat the UNC in their safest seat, this was similar to PNM losing Lavantil. That is what Jack Warner did. So it showed that this perception that a third party cannot win, that is not true. If it is that these third parties can assemble and win a few seats, we can become the pendulum of power to ensure that if you want to be in government, you have to work with us. And now we will be able to keep checks and balances on you, which is what has not taken place for the last few decades. That is what was supposed to have happened in 2010 to 2015. But the UNC got 21 seats, and they used the COP to get into government and then spat them out. And that is where you got the live sport, the Color Me Orange, the Hoop of Life, state contracts, the gang members, all of this nonsense. Firing a Minister of National Security because he refused to lie to protect someone. That is what the UNC wants again, to have 21 seats and use what you call us proper parties, but you're begging COP, you're begging Philip Alexander with his one-man party. He has not held a meeting in a year. His headquarters is in his car to do videos to attack people. But that is what she's bringing in, these proper parties, because she knows the UNC has never been able to win an election on its own in 36 years when a third party is involved. So you're bringing in these cosmetic parties and then telling them to work under the UNC umbrella, under the UNC symbol, and give them all of the 12, 14 seats that the PNM will always win. You're trying yet again to use the third parties. So to all those floating voters, the independent voters, understand this is your opportunity to make a choice. And you make that choice and vote for legitimate, bona fide third parties that are not controlled by any of the two dominant parties. We can now have that opportunity to have that pendulum to decide that if you all want to work with us, we have to be part of the government. If you don't respect us, you're not going to get the support that you need. Because what we do, what we decide as those floating voters decides the outcome of the election and who is in government.
Mr. Griffith, you would have warned that Trinidad and Tobago could become Haiti #2, right? Can you just expand a little bit on that and explain what did you mean, what you meant when you said that?
Well, I really can't recall stating that, but I do know where you're coming from. And if that is the case, and it's strange enough, I was the first Trinidad and Tobago citizen to return home with a United Nations peacekeeping medal, within CARICOM being in charge of administration, finance, welfare, and logistics for 300 plus CARICOM troops from several countries in Haiti to restore democracy. So I lived it. I lived in a tent for 6 months, seeing what Haiti is. And it is a beautiful country, but it was destroyed by politics, by greed, by criminal elements, and by our CARICOM neighbors not doing enough to support them. If we continue to go down the road we are going down, we are going to suffer. We are going to suffer miserably. We can't put all our eggs in a dragon basket. We can't continue to try to divide the country in two based on politics. When you get in government and say you're PNM, nobody in the UNC must be involved in the governance because you don't have our party card. You have now lost half of that intellectual ability by qualified persons, and now you're going to bring incompetent persons lower down that level because of their party card. And it happens vice versa. The UNC, when you look at the people in the UNC now, when Kamala speaks about equality and the success of the People's Partnership, she's correct. But then, half of it were the third-party people, the Winston Dukran, the Nicole Dyer-Griffith, the Karen C. Prasad Bechan, the Prakash Ramadar, the Anand Ramlogans, the Devon Maraj, the Gary Griffiths. They're all gone because they're not in the UNC. And the UNC, they were able to perform because they had the Suraj Rambachan, the Gangra Singhs, the Bhutiwari, the Fazal Karims, the Ramona Ramdials. They are no longer there. Now you have Khadija Amin, Barry Padarat, who held a purse for 5 years following you, Wayne Sturge. That is Jerlyn John. You have people who gave away 600 fridge and stove during the last election and still lost a marginal by 2,000 votes, and they are guiding you in your campaign. So the point being is that we are in a very good place, but if we continue to let politics and politicians continue to destroy our country, we can very well end up like Haiti.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for that, Mr. Griffith, and we do understand where you're coming from with all of this. We do have to wrap up this interview, however, but I had a lot more questions that I wanted to touch on, but we are out of time. So thank you so much for joining us this morning, and we'd love to have you back on the program another time.
Anytime, my pleasure. Goodbye.
All right, so we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll continue on with the show. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
I am Dr. Delphina Ovid, your friendly neighborhood dentist. At Community Hospital Dental Clinic, we offer examinations which include x-rays, basic oral cancer screening, and a treatment plan. We also offer cleanings, fillings, extractions, root canal treatment, and complete and partial dentures. Remember, you don't have to brush and floss all your teeth, just the ones you want to keep.
Give us a call at 235-5479.
The Community Hospital of Seventh-day Adventist,
where good private health care is affordable.
Knowing how to tell authentic is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Find it, match it, search it. Step 1. Find the style number on the tag. Step 2. Match the style number inside the jersey with the number on the tag. Step 3. Search it. A quick Google search of the style number will verify the jersey is authentic when the search results match the jersey being searched. Don't be fooled by counterfeit jerseys. Before you buy, remember to find it, match it, search it.
Fan Zone, 2 locations nationwide. Center City Mall, Chaguanas, and Movietown, Port of Spain. Nationwide delivery available.
We are tackling the hard-hitting topics, some controversial topics, some topics we sweep under the rug. You don't always have to forgive in a relationship for it to move forward.
If it is you are in a situation where you forgive the person, but to the detriment of yourself, what are you really doing?
It is very uncommon for somebody in the younger age group to have dementia.
Atheists don't not believe.
Is that I can't disprove God, but you also can't prove God. So we kind of have a stalemate.
We'll focus on the woman who's been the victim, right, or the man has been the victim. We exclude the children.
Folks are trying to study the underlying brain mechanism to figure out how does this particular disorder happen in the brain? How is the brain processing this?
Don't worry about AI. Worry about humans working with AI.
Are you willing to learn new skills to stay relevant for the future job market? That's the challenge that people are going to struggle with.
Good morning and welcome back to the program. So we're just going to jump straight into our second interview of the day. Trinidad and Tobago's healthcare system has long faced challenges, from understaffed hospitals to resource shortages. In response, the country has opened our borders to foreign medical personnel, most notably Cuban doctors and nurses, to fill some critical gaps. But as the healthcare crisis deepens, questions arise. Is this a sustainable solution? Are we investing enough in our own medical professionals? And now, with US President Trump threatening certain visa sanctions for countries working with Cuba under the Cuban Labor Export Program, is the country's healthcare system more at risk more than ever? Joining us to unpack these pressing issues and gain some context is Edie Stewart, President of the Registered Nurses Association. Welcome to AM Prime. How are you?
Thanks for having me. I'm good.
All right. So I wanted to just kind of get an overview of the situation that's going on. What is the current role of Cuban medical workers in Trinidad and Tobago's healthcare system, and what gaps do they fill?
Well, firstly, persons must appreciate that our counterparts, particularly from Cuba, but also other regions, including the Philippines, Nigerian, and a number of Caribbean nations, including Cuba, have been coming to Trinidad to supplement the numbers of nursing personnel currently working in our healthcare system, both public and private, I might add. So, but Cuba certainly has had the largest complement. And what normally transpires, the government of Trinidad and Tobago will actually go to Cuba and hold interviews with these persons and recruit who they believe have a good command of the English language, a reasonable command of the English language, and other metrics they would put in the interview process. And then they would offer them contracts, and the persons would come to Trinidad and Tobago and work for approximately 3 years, and then they would return to Cuba following their stint in Trinidad and Tobago. And it has been working quite well over the years, but specifically the categories of nursing personnel that our country employs from other territories really is to treat with the additional shortfall, the larger shortfall which we have in our specialist nursing personnel. So it is not just the general trained nurse that we employ from Cuba, but it's really the specialist nurses who we are in a greater shortfall for, which we bring into Trinidad and Tobago. Yeah?
Are there any restrictions on the movement or activities that these Cuban workers have to stay within?
Not to my knowledge. I don't know if there is, but not to my knowledge. They do everything that is needed. They move about freely. They work the same amount of hours, sometimes more, because we are so short. So they may work more than 40 hours, but that's like any other nurse in Trinidad and Tobago will work more than 40 hours a week because of the shortage that we currently face within our territory. So I don't know if there's any travel restrictions that they can't leave. I am not aware, but certainly they do everything, and they are usually quite comfortable when they are in Trinidad and Tobago.
Can you tell us more about why, there's such a shortage of specialized nursing? Why can't our country invest in that for ourselves?
Well, this is what we have been lobbying the government for quite some time. But persons must appreciate this potential ban, and probably it's already a ban, on employing Cuban nurses, could not have come at a worse time for Trinidad and Tobago. Firstly, Trinidad and Tobago continue to lose nursing personnel on a continuous basis to the very US, which is applying this ban. So a number of our nursing personnel fly away to the US, UK, Canada, etc. So we hemorrhaging nurses as we speak, and generally those countries first look at our specialist nurses to take to their countries. So we are hemorrhaging both general and specialist nurses abroad. Two, our countries building a number of these healthcare institutions, which each requires specialist nurses to work within, and we just don't have the numbers to fill, both general trained and specialist trained, to fill these multiple hospitals, which we are billing at great expense to the taxpayer. And then thirdly, we don't have any schools as we speak training specialist nurses. So we don't have a single nursing school training any specialist nurses as we speak, which is absolute outrageous.
Yes.
When you look at it. We have 3 nursing schools, UE, USC, and COSTAT. None of them are training specialist nurses as we speak, other than the administration, education type specialists, but no clinical nurse specialists as we speak. So we're in a real quandary right now. UE used to train oncology nurses, but I don't think they would have taken in a recent cohort of oncology nurses, that is nurses to treat with cancer patients. So we're in a real bind as we speak. So this couldn't have come at a worse time for our country.
How long have you been lobbying the government to assist with these shortages? What, I don't understand what you mean when you say that we have hospitals, we don't have schools, we don't have enough nurses to put in the hospitals. That's a bit outrageous, actually. How long has this been going on?
This shortfall has been going on quite a while, but it was further exacerbated recently by the very association, Trinidad and Tobago National Association, and where we have been lobbying the Ministry of Education since the last Minister of Education, his name eludes me, but we have been lobbying him since 2015 to transfer the nursing schools that the Ministry of Education used to run out of their own remit. So we had a 4th nursing school, the Ministry of Education nursing school, but it was unregistered, it was unaccredited, which goes against the laws of Trinidad and Tobago. So think about it. The government of Trinidad and Tobago was breaking their own law in training persons, both general and specialists, in an unregistered, unaccredited school run by the Ministry of Education. And we have been lobbying them since 2015 to transfer those students, those lecturers, those courses over into the 3 registered and approved nursing education, to lift the quality of nursing education to the standard that CARICOM has agreed on, and Trinidad and Tobago being part of CARICOM, where nursing education must be taught at a minimum nursing degree and move away from the apprenticeship style education. So since 2015, we have been lobbying the government to follow their own signed agreement to CARICOM to have these nursing personnel trained at accredited institutions to get a degree, and also to make sure nurses are taught at registered and approved education facilities. Unfortunately, they did not do so. So the association actually took the government to court and won. And so the court mandated the government follow their own law. So now, since that has been done, and that was done last year, there is currently no training institution for specialist nurses. So it took us 10 years for the government, 10 years of lobbying and legal action to get the government to move over to what the law currently states. But since then, the existing nursing schools have not commenced training specialist nurses, unfortunately.
For these things.
I don't know how this could have caught them by surprise, because this is something that the association has been lobbying for a decade.
Yes, I know we have to move on from this point really quickly, I wanted to ask, has there been any communication at all from the government for you guys, to you guys, about getting things back on track?
Unfortunately not. Despite our many letters to the Minister of Education and the Minister of Health, unfortunately the Minister of Health doesn't really see the importance of it for whatever reason. That is just my humble opinion. He has not taken the initiative to really lobby the schools to get them to do what they're supposed to do, knowing we have this shortage of nursing personnel. So that's why we have been lobbying the incoming Prime Minister, Honorable Stuart Young, to make sure when he is picking his cabinet, going forward, I know they are planning to do some cabinet reshuffle, that he installs someone who understands the healthcare system as Minister of Health. And I know there most likely would be a number of potential candidates, but it doesn't seem that the current person has that vision and that will to really transform the healthcare system, as opposed just to taking credit for UDCOT building multiple hospitals over the country, which we cannot staff. Yeah.
Mr. Stewart, was this Cuban program supposed to be temporary?
Well, definitely it should have been temporary. Any country should, by logic, would want to train those categories of staff to fill your hospitals. It is logical that one would want to do that, particularly for nurses. For doctors, it's kind of technical because Trinidad and Tobago probably would never have the capacity to train all of its specialist trained doctors. And that is why we, especially for pediatrics, for instance, childhood diseases, you may never have the quantum of childhood diseases where a specialist would be able to keep their skills. So that is why we also continue to lose doctors. And that is why it may be better, it may be more cost effective to go the route of sending away children who have 1 in a 10,000 chance of developing a childhood disease that we don't often see, and you just send them away to get treatment and then return.
Yeah.
It's a little technical with doctors, but definitely with nurses. You should have your pediatric nurses, your neonatal nurses, your midwives, your oncology nurses, your trauma nurses. Yeah. That is something that we constantly must have. And it's really unfortunate we are in this position today.
So, Mr. Stewart, we're here now. We're here now in this particular situation. Washington is of the opinion that the program that allows Cuban med workers to come to countries like ours is unfair or advantageous of human rights. What are your particular thoughts on that?
Well, we know the decades-long embargo and bans that the U.S. has placed on Cuba. And we, from the association, we want to stay away from that. We understand, that generation. It's really unfortunate. And they have ramped up their bans, as it were, their restrictions, which is now negatively affecting persons who rely heavily on the Cuban medical system. Yeah. Because we also send persons to Cuba for treatment. So I hope that is not negatively affected. A lot of our neuro patients we send to Cuba because we don't have that level of tertiary care in Trinidad and Tobago. Actually, we don't have tertiary care. So if you have to recover and you need a tertiary healthcare facility, it is Cuba we send you to, or one of the other South American countries. Then Colombia has an excellent healthcare system. Venezuela used to be an option also, but there are difficulties there. So it appears that all the areas where persons used to go and seek tertiary level care are being removed from our the possibility of Trinidad and Tobago citizens going, and then also the persons who used to come in to supplement our staff is also being taken away. So we are not aware of forced labor. We don't really see those things. We have not seen those things. I can't tell one nursing personnel can endorse that statement that these persons are being forced, because these Cuban nurses integrate with us. We have a good working relationship, mutual respect, very good camaraderie. Some of them, after they return, they come back and they remain in Trinidad and Tobago because they love Trinidad and Tobago so much. So it's really an excellent relationship. We are not aware of the additional information the U.S. may have, so we can't really put our 2 cents with in terms of that, because obviously the U.S. government may have more information than a nursing association in Trinidad and Tobago. So, but from our standpoint and our interaction, we can identify, if someone was to ask us, identify some forced labor relationship. We wouldn't be able to identify anything like that.
All right. So we do need to start wrapping up, and I had a question. Should the public be alarmed in any way about the future of our healthcare system due to these things that are coming up now?
Well, definitely. The statistics has demonstrated over the years that if you don't have a good and a safe patient-to-staff ratio, it will negatively impact on the quality of care. So Trinidad and Tobago already does not have a good patient-to-staff ratio. That is already as we speak. So we already lose persons in our nation's hospitals unnecessarily because we don't have good patient-to-staff ratio. So to put it bluntly, patients are dying as we speak unnecessarily because we don't have good patient-to-staff ratio. So added to that, if you don't have good patient-to-staff ratio in your specialist areas, which are areas which you really need, for instances, in your intensive care units, both adult and your neonatal intensive care unit, if you don't have that one-to-one arrangement, you would further continue to lose patients unnecessarily. And it would have glared its head for the world to see, and every citizen of Trinidad and Tobago to see, what went on in the Port of Spain General Hospital, in the NICU department, where we lost 8 babies. And when PAHO did their report, the first conclusion they came to in their report was inadequate patient-to-staff ratios. So we are seeing it. It is open for us to see. It was highlighted in the recent Parliament review when they were looking into the activities of the RHAs, and every single CEO agreed that we have a shortage of nursing personnel. So we are reaping the whirlwinds for years of neglect, for years of not investing in human resource, as opposed to investing heavily in physical resource, multiple hospitals. So we are reaping the whirlwind, and we will continue reaping this whirlwind for the foreseeable future unless we get a Minister of Health who really understands healthcare and really willing to put their hands to the grind to make sure we reverse this tide and stop losing a lot of our citizens unnecessarily because of the deficiencies within our healthcare system. It could be a lot better. We spend a lot of money in healthcare, and we should demand better as a population. Yes?
Yeah, Mr. Stone, as we end this segment, what message would you like to send to those questioning the legitimacy of Cuba's medical missions?
Well, I don't believe anybody in Trinidad and Tobago or the CARICOM would have any concerns with Cuban doctors and nurses and other specialists. Because we all see, in the healthcare setting, we all see the good work they have been doing over the years, generations, over several governments. I just want to reiterate that both PNM and UNC have brought in Cuban nurses, so I don't think so. The only difficulty probably is coming from abroad, particularly the US, and well, that is above my pay grade to speak to the US government. So I wouldn't want to venture there. But we hope that our foreign affairs minister, and other government officials would be successful in lobbying the US government to, if not reverse, but at least temporarily pause this ban on healthcare workers, at least until we can ramp up our training of healthcare practitioners in Trinidad and Tobago. So hopefully we can, if we could get a 3-year pause, it may not be enough, but it would be a start. So I hope at least our Foreign Affairs Minister can do that. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Stewart, for joining us and providing us this well-needed context. I hope you have a beautiful day. We are going to wrap right now, and we're going to take a short break, and we'll be back with you all shortly.
Thanks,
Do you need treatment for obesity or any related abdominal procedures? The community hospital now offers minimally invasive laparoscopic surgery done by an American-trained, board-certified surgeon with over 20 years' experience. Give us a call at 235-5479 for more information.
The Community Hospital of Seventh-day Adventist,
where good private health care is affordable.
Folks, we're back and better than ever.
Your show have always appeared to be a show that is focused on going to the cause or looking to the cause.
We hardly ever talk about the white-collar crime, though. We always talk about the ones that involve more as physical violence against individuals.
The citizens will only measure transmission when water starts to flow through their taps.
Because region doesn't talk about local election.
Contract mafia that's responsible for looting the country, and they own and operate these politicians.
So if you are running a country and you can't say nothing as a prime minister, please take up your bag and go.
It is not comparative to the murder figures, but it is in fact very high.
I believe he's protecting certain individuals.
We are tackling the hard-hitting topics, some controversial topics, some topics we sweep under the rug.
You don't always have to forgive in a relationship for it to move forward.
If it is you are in a situation where you forgive the person, but to the detriment of yourself, what are you really doing?
It is very uncommon for somebody in the younger age group to have dementia.
Atheists don't not believe.
Is that I can't disprove God, but you also can't prove God. So we kind of have a stalemate.
We'll focus on the woman who's been the victim, or the man has been the victim. We exclude the children.
Folks are trying to study the underlying brain mechanism to figure out how does this particular disorder happen in the brain? How is the brain processing this?
Don't worry about AI. Worry about humans working with AI.
Are you willing to learn new skills to stay relevant for the future job market? That's the challenge that people are going to struggle with.
This is 10 Questions. I'm Andy Johnson. The distance from where we should be in the world in going forward and our commitments with climate change.
The effects of climate change that cannot be accounted for. It's called loss and damage. And we're seeing loss and damage happening so much more in this decade the previous decade.
The principal term there was this question of the correspondent banking issues.
That is why we're trying to build capacity with this country here, Trinidad and Tobago, and other countries in the region.
Man is not showing any signs of stopping or even slowing down. More than half of the forest in Trinidad is already gone.
All the plants and all the animals and all of the nice clean water and fresh air and everything had to be on this planet for humanity to have a chance.
We have small change when it comes to countries that can take decisions, and when they speak, the world listens.
The General Assembly is a very democratic forum. I mean, and Trinidad and Tobago has the same vote as Canada, in spite of the obvious difference in size.
And welcome back to AM Prime this morning. So we're moving on to a segment that we've done before, where you get to know your candidate for your constituents. So today we're speaking with Mr. Christopher Alexander, the candidate for Laventille East Mover under the Patriotic Front banner. As a first-time contender in the upcoming general election, he aims to challenge the status quo in a constituency long held by the PNM. Alexander will be going up against Mr. Christian Birchwood, the PNM's newly selected candidate, after incumbent MP Adrian Leons opted not to seek re-election. So we'll get to know more about Mr. Alexander, his vision for the constituency, and how he plans to tackle the issue affecting residents. Good morning, Mr. Alexander, and welcome to the program.
Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago, and good morning to Laventille East Mover. So
what's inspired you to enter into the life of politics?
What would not inspire us at this current climate that we have in the country? What will not want us to get involved and try to change the dynamics and the trajectory of where we are headed? Our community suffers a lot with different ills, crime, waste management of funds, and not being able to actually get to the people and find out their needs. So why not get involved?
Let's talk about your alignment with Patriotic Front. What motivated that alignment with Patriotic Front?
Well, I saw the need for change, one, and listening to Ms. Michaela Pandy and what she stands for, the humanitarian that the party believes in, strongly in, tackling what persons may face, and how she decides, and the party is aligned in changing that, because we have gone too long with the he say and the them say politics and the mudslinging, and we are not about that.
All right. Can you tell us a bit more about your background, specific to the Mover Laventille East community?
Well, I grew up in the Mover. I grew up over I know if you know along over Alexis Street by Hockett Baptist Primary School. I grew up there. I went to Success Laventille Composite, one of the best schools in Port of Spain, and the alumni is working hard to continue to make Success Laventille, the name that it had when I was there. I went to Sour Boys Government Primary. I also went to Serval at a point in time.
Interesting.
Yeah, and also I'm heavily involved in my church. Which
is it situated in Mover? Or?
Yes, Church on the Rock.
Church on the Rock.
Yes, in Mover.
All right. So many people would believe that smaller parties may struggle to make a little bit of an impact. So why do you believe your candidacy for this constituency matters?
Because people want the change. People are not satisfied, you know. Are you satisfied with the current state of not just the economy but the community? Are you satisfied with, you know, things that are happening?
No.
You know, so with this party going into this, you know, a lot of people want the change. When we are on the ground walking, you know, persons are saying we need the change. They are fed up of the both parties.
Change,
you know,
not exchange.
Change and not exchange. Thank you. I see you've been following the party well.
I've been trying to keep an eye out on there. But you see, a lot of people, when they're not in office and they're campaigning, they make all of these promises. They are the candidate for change. They are the best person for the job, and then they get in office. And it's like, what are you doing there? Why did I elect you there, into there?
And we have suffered with that for many, 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 many years, you know. But being a humanitarian party, and we are not just we're not going to make promises. You know, promises are comfort to fool. We are intended to work for the people. We are intended to get there and do what is needed to bring our country back to where it was. You know, I have children, and I hope that my grandchildren and even my children will enjoy the Trinidad that we were accustomed to. You know, we're not afraid to go out and lime or go out and go into another community and meet someone. You know, can we still do that? Can we say, okay, I'm going by the neighbor, you know, just to probably hang out? It doesn't have that sort of community happening again. So we really need to bring that back. We really need to.
What are some of the main issues, in fact, in the constituency that you plan to address if chosen?
You have young people, especially young men, taking a different turn, you know, and we intend to bring that back. We intend to take that stigma out of Mova, Laventille, even Trinidad and Tobago, where young men, especially young people, you know, they tend to, if they want to go to, we have an unemployment issue in Trinidad and Tobago. And if the opportunities are there, most of them, they are not certain to say, well, look, or confident to say, okay, I'm going to apply for this job. My address is 101 Alexis Street, Mova, right? They tend to use another address. Yeah. Even if you're trying to get your child into a school, right? You tend to use another address. Why are we there? Why are we here, right? We want to change the trajectory and change the image of where we live, change our community, so that persons will be proud to say, I am from Mova, I am from Laventille. Good things come out of both Mova and Laventille, and we are going to get back there. One of the, if my history serves me right, one of the first community centers was built in Mova. One of the first, right? Where are our community centers? Are we going to rebuild them now? Are we building any? What is there? Are we going to refurbish them? There's one up on top, Caledonia, I think it is, up on top of the hill. And it is like an abandoned building. You know, once you have community stuff happening, what about the cottage industry that we used to have, where persons will show you how to do basket weaving and make tamarind bowl and sugar cake, and we don't have these things happening. So one of the things that we intend to do, especially in our community, is raise up young businessmen, young entrepreneurs, young people that could understand, look, I can sustain myself by doing this, right? And what will happen is that you'll have a network. You'll have someone could say, okay, I can do, I can make tulum, I can make tamarind, but whatever it is, right? You have someone who say, okay, I can do, I'm selling fish, right? Okay, I have a food business, right? And they can buy from each other. We have to bring back where persons have the confidence.
Exactly.
Right?
How do you intend to create that change? Because I want to go back to the issue with the community center. Yes, you are right. It's like an abandoned building. That's the one right near the Mova Savannah. But I believe they have built another one that is advertised. But when you ask for the keys, or when you ask to to go in there, it's like, oh, I don't know who has the keys right now, or it's not open, or it's a bunch of running around. How do you intend to be a little bit more transparent and a little bit different for the people of the constituency?
Because what will happen is that you have to be on the ground. So if you have the connection with the persons will not be able to say, I don't have the key, or talk to this one. You will have a direct link with the people. You will know, okay, I need to go by Christopher. I need to go by Sharon. These are the persons who, and they will be held accountable, because you cannot tell me that we have a facility that is for the people and needs to be used by the people, and someone is holding it at ransom. We can't hold the community at ransom. That is not fair to anyone, because those are the persons that would have looked up to us and say, well, look, I am putting you in office, I'm putting you here. This is what we need. And okay, we went ahead, we make it, we have it, we made it happen for you. And then what? We're going to tell you, you can't use it today. You have to write about 15 letters to different persons, try to see if you can get the counselor, try to see if you can get no, right? We want to have direct access to the people, and the people will have direct access to us.
We're going to have direct access. It's quoting that, guys. I'm going to quote that. But I also wanted to find out from you. I know that sometimes people, as you were talking about this stigma, sometimes young men and women believe that about themselves, especially people on my block or on my neighborhood. You're from over, you're not going to do much, nothing really going to happen. How do you want to inspire the youth to change that thinking?
My pastor always say we need to aim lower, you know. And if we aim lower, if we go at, we get them at the very, very young age and instill in them that, here what, you have hope, you are king, you are queen. You have a lot of young women just, feel that they're not worthy, so they go to sleep here, they sleep there, they sleep around, and then they're impregnated, and then what? Then this guy moves on. But we have to teach them, here what? You are a king, you are responsible for this queen. Right? This young lady, I am a queen, I am a goddess. You are responsible for you, right? Because a lot of young people don't have hope. So when you don't have, when they don't have that hope, right, or something to look forward to, right, are they going to live past 2024, right? If you have a hope and you have a dream and you set out and say, look, this is what I want for my life, because I have seen, persons that look like me or behave like me or talk like me, behave in a particular manner, then we will get there. We'll also try to have mentorship programs for both male and female, have them. We have a lot of businesses in Mova, right? And if we can tap into the resources and have them, at least form some mentorship programs with them, so that if it's on a weekly basis, once we have the community centers, that you get them in here, you get them involved and say, look, today we are talking about entrepreneurship. Today we are talking about skills training. Today we are talking about etiquette. Today we are talking about parenting and different things you talk about, and you give people hope.
What are you doing right now to be seen as that viable candidate for the Patriotic Front?
Well, I've started my work. And I am working on all my social media pages. I have a lot of people, and mind you, a lot of people have already endorsed and said, look, Christopher, we are supporting you. What do you need? Do you need banners? Do you need help walking around? A lot of people have been coming forward, and this is what we need.
But if we look at what happened with the UNC a couple of years back, where they would have campaigned and they would have gotten all these promises of support, and then they weren't elected into office. Do you think that that's something that can happen to you?
No. I am confident. I am confident because the people are crying out for the change. They are, and we are here to make that difference. We are here to make persons, feel a sense of security, a sense of safety, in this country. We have too many, waste and mismanagement of funds, right? It doesn't even go to the community, and we intend to even partner with some of the groups in the community, whether it be our churches or religious groups, to come, to come together and make sure, because we have a church that does free preschool education. You know, how do we support that, right? Because I am certain that because a lot of persons can't even afford certain things in Nova. Why? Why? You know, and if they try to access it outside, it's very, very difficult.
Yes. Is there anything being done to target the young voters? Because many young people don't understand the importance of voting. This is a discussion that is constantly had, you know. So what are you doing, or the Patriotic Front doing, to get those young voters on board? Because, I mean, somebody told me a time, you know, not voting is still a vote.
Yes.
You know, and that's a big thing.
Well, we intend to actually, you know, get down on the ground and, you know, sort and seek them out and, you know, have a conversation with them. Because as I said, if you can let them understand who they are, you know, we can set up business incubators. We could have different, you know, things. After COVID, or during COVID, right, there was a need for young children, especially the ones that were 3 and going into 5 and going into preschool and all of that. What were the internet access? They probably didn't have devices. So I am certain that you have a catchment there that did not go to school or had proper access to education.
My Sunday school had to facilitate a lot of children because they didn't have access to it from their schools.
And that is, we need to, you see, as the candidate and the future MP from Mobile Laventille East, I am going to, you know, insert and make sure we, the Patriotic Front, get involved in finding all these children that has, you know, that has been missing in the education gap because they didn't have the, and did we, as not just as a politician or as a candidate, did we reach out to them? We need to get back to that place where if you're casting your foundation, I can come by you and help, right? If you have a problem, we need to build relationship. If you have a child or a son, daughter, and you need help with that child, right? Whether it be mental or physical or whatever, you can say, here, what, my neighbor, I have an issue. Where can I go? What can I do? You know, instead of, we need to get back to the place, and I'm sure you have heard of it. It takes a village to raise a child, you know, and we have to be able, as citizens, right, not to turn away our votes. And if it is that, you know, we have an issue where a child or someone is, you know, we should be safe enough to say, hey, can I speak with you? And this child could understand that, you know, yes, that they can respect you instead of saying, I go tell my mother.
Yeah.
You know?
What challenges do you intend, or do you see that you might face when you get into office from any existing persons there?
We're not sure what we're going to meet in there, but we tend to look at making some sort of, not some sort, but making a difference. You know, there have been different conversations in the corridors, right? But we will try our best and make it happen that we can rise, you know, from the stigmas, right? Because the whole country, not just Laventille East, the whole country is suffering. We are crying out. Everybody's crying out, right? Because there are different divides, right? Sometimes, I mean, different quotas in trade, in medical, you know, fraternity, everything, you know, seems to affect each and every one of us. So we're not sure we're going to meet when we get in there, but we are sure that whatever it is that we meet, we are about to change what the persons would have feel, and persons who don't have confidence of before, they're going to have confidence in us.
So you were going up against Mr. Christian Birchwood. You know, this is PNM. This is something that Laventel East Mover is accustomed to, right? How do you differentiate yourself from him? Because I know even if, let's say his campaign is not that as strong as yours, you know, sometimes voters tend to just vote traditionally, you know, but you're coming with something different. What can you say to voters now to kind of cement that I know you all want change and I'm here to give you that change? Because sometimes it's, as Jada said, you know, many candidates, they come forward with all these plans and with all these dreams wrapped up with a pretty bow, but then once they're voted in,
you can't hear from them.
Nothing happens, you know?
We intend to engage in and foster more community involvement and have them involved in the decision making for their community. Yes, the work will be, you know, tough, right? But I feel I have the charisma, you know, to make sure and have the people understand that, you know, we are here to work for you. We are here to work with you, right? We are not above you in any way, right? And I mean, we know, and I think we need to move away from the stronghold issue. We are tackling the persons who are uncertain. There are a lot of persons who sit down and say, I'm not voting. There are a lot of people who say, I don't care. I worked with one of my colleagues and the political leader in Barataria on Saturday. And, you know, in conversation with two young men, one of the guys said, that really affect me. That really bother me. But when I began to speak with him, you know, and tried and I did encourage him, and then he was like, you know, you're making real sense there, you know, and I was able to connect with both of them. And then he was like, no, and he said, big man, you really, you get me there, you know, because I was able to actually tap into what it is he's not certain of. Because you're saying that it don't bother me. Yes, it does. And it would affect you. I said, if you don't have children now, right, and you intend to have children soon, would you want them to grow up in something like this? Would you want them to grow up in a community like this, in a country that seems to be falling away, you know, because our leaders, our past leaders, some of our leaders just have moved away from connecting with us? He was like, big man, you're really making sense.
Speaking of moving away, do you live in the constituency?
I used to. I'm actually in, just about 5 years ago, I'm in Barataria now, right? But I still have a house in Mova. My nephews are there. So from time to time, I am in Mova.
So with that being said, how do you intend to stay on the ground? For example, sometimes every morning, we had an interview with Miss Marsha Walker the other day, and she said because she lives in the constituency, she knows when that's flooding, when that mailbox is out, when that road is dented. How do you intend to be the person that sees those things, to feel with the community?
Right. If I could have shown you the map where I live now, and where that's just, I'm right on the border of my constituency. Right? So I am always in Mova. I go to church in Mova, I have family in Mova, so I'm always in Mova. So I see where the roads are bad. I see where sometimes the floodings happen, you know, where the drains are. I see it because I'm through Mova almost every, you know, when I'm carrying my kids to tennis, I go over the Lady Young. So I am in Mova. I'm from Mova. I just live recently in Barata, but that's where I grew up. That's where everyone knows me, you know, and that's where I belong.
Yeah.
So just to end off, because I know we would need to wrap. What would be your final words to our viewers? What is the message of the Patriotic Front, and then what is the message of Christopher Alexander?
The message of the Patriotic Front is that, as you said it before, it's change and not exchange. And it's time, you know, that the people be heard. It is time to affect that change, and it's time that our people lives change. And this is what I would like to leave, that, you know, it is time, right? And come on board and let us make that change.
Well, all right. If there are no more questions, we would like to thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
And providing some much needed context. And that's my favorite thing to say, some much needed context.
Yes.
Okay, so thank you. And I want to tell our viewers, thanks so much for...
Before we close off.
Oh, yes, we do have something planned for you guys.
Yeah, so just to continue with what we started on Friday, today's quote is, "The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams." And this is a quote by Eleanor Roosevelt. Leda, what are your thoughts on that quote?
The future belongs to those who believe in their dreams.
In the beauty of their dreams.
In the beauty of their dreams. I think that is a, how to say it? It's very dreamy. It's a very dreamy quote, something to give your day a good nice pump. But I agree with it. I agree with it. Even somebody like us, we're in journalism. It's a very competitive field, but it's our dream to be here. So the future belongs to us who believe in the beauty of our dreams.
Not bad. All right. So, well, with that, we wrap up another show. Again, we thank you to Mr. Alexander for being with us this morning. I do hope that our viewers from Laventille East, Mova, you all were able to really, you know, listen and understand, and especially our young viewers as well. So, yeah, so enjoy your day, stay safe, and we'll see you tomorrow.
WESN.
Hi, I'm Claudette, radiographer at the radiology departments at the community hospital. We offer high-quality service with state-of-the-art equipment in X-ray, ultrasound, CT, and mammogram. Come, our friendly staff awaits you.
Give us a call at 235-5479.